Hello, good morning everyone, and thank you BSides Hanoi for having me here today. My name is Phuc. I am I'm a staff threat intelligence analyst at Trellix, and today I'm going to talk about the inside DPRK cyber operations exploiting trusted platform, pipelines, and AI. So just a very brief about myself. I'm based in France and I have an academic background in malware detection research and deep learning. I was speaker at Black Hat, Raid, BotCon, etc. But however, this is my first time speaking in a cybersecurity conference in Hanoi today, so very excited to be with you all today. Currently I'm working for Trellix Advanced Research Center. Work for the extensive threat intelligence research for worldwide organization, and my focus is for tracking advanced persistent group as well as ransomware group investigation. So just sum up for myself: threat intelligence, threat hunting, and malware research. Today agenda first off will be about who is actually behind the DPRK cyber. The second part will be my main research is about the DPRK leveraging the GitHub for command and control for their espionage campaigns. And the third section will be how the DPRK worker enter the enterprise and companies around the world. Who is DPRK cyber? So I think we need to stop labeling the DPRK cyber as one umbrella like Lazarus. But we need to view the DPRK cyber as a portfolio. For espionage, we know that the Kimsky or APT43 really do the collecting the intelligence for the state. They do have the multiple divisions for revenue generation for the state by doing the banking and crypto theft. And lately, they do have the DPRK IT worker that gaining the trusted access and gaining the access to enterprise to do not even the malicious IT worker, but also revenue IT worker trying to generate the revenue for the regime. And here comes the organization assessment from DTEX. We can see that most of the DPRK operation belong to the RGB, the Reconnaissance General Bureau, but there's also other cyber operation from other divisions like Ministry of State Security, Worker Party of Korea, or Ministry of National Defense. And the hierarchy here, or the direct command, currently is still in dispute. But the takeaway for this one is we are not going to look into the individual boxes, but we need to view the DPRK that they span across multiple organizations, multiple brands, and do multiple operations together. If we look at the number, we're going to change the model about it. DPRK cyber operation is a self-funding operating model. It has like about estimated $800 million for the revenue in 2024, $1.2 billion, the estimated crypto theft for DPRK in 2024, and more than 10 grants each month for the quota for the worker. So we can see that here is not just a single military unit, but a whole portfolio with revenue quotas, intelligence collection, and all of them, they collaborate to each other. And moving on to my main research, we have been tracking the DPRK cyber from March until July 2025, and we found that there is a campaign targeted the embassies and foreign ministries in Europe, but mostly European embassy in Seoul. We have been tracked around 20 different spare phishing ways, more than 50 different decoy documents, and specifically they use more than 6 different languages in their decoys, from Korean, English, Persian, Arabic, French, or Russian. If we look at the phishing email, this is the initial vector, You can see on the left side of the screen, there is the invitation for the interview with the Diplomacy Journal. The photo in the middle is the invitation from the US Embassy for the US Independence Day. And the image on the right is from Embassy of Poland, an urgent letter from the ambassador. So the common things of 3 emails in here, they are all sending from free email services, from Gmail to Handmail. All of them having a legitimate cloud service to host the attachment from Dropbox, Google Drive, or the Daum. And all of the phishing email having the attachment that has password protected. So here you can see the password is diplomacy, US protocol, or Poland 278. So those are the common thing in the phishing lure. So by detonating the phishing lure in our workflow, we can draw the campaign infection change. After the initial vector, there will be the payload delivery, and if the victim click on the attachment link, they will be led to some of the password protected one. If you open that one, there will be a pdf.lnk, which is actually a link, but it looks like an Adobe Acrobat file. And if the user open up the link, I'm sorry, but there will be a decoy document, legitimate document showing on the screen, but in the background there is a PowerShell execution running on the background for a scheduled task for every 30 minutes, and that scheduled task will connect to GitHub, just like a very normal network activity to the GitHub, sending the victim information like your device, what software running on the device, and so on. And the cool thing here is that the final payload or the malicious payload is not instantly delivered to the victim computer. For example, if you are a malware analyst, you're going to detonate this in the sandbox for like 50 minutes, 30 minutes, or even 2 hours. There will be nothing malicious happen because the threat actor will decide who they want to infect and when they want to infect it. And normally after 1 or 2 days, the real malicious thing started to happen. And the final payload is normally will be the Senorat, which is a remote administrative tool that can do all the things, full remote capturing of your keylog, of your screenshot, file transfer from your data to steal information from the victim data, opening the microphone or webcam, you name it. Yeah. And here are some of the decoys. The decoys document always look like official invitation letter or administrative paper or embassy invasion. And some of the campaign we have observed, there is even like a school registration for kids. So we think that when the embassy officer install in one station, they are looking for school for their kids, and the threat actor trying to send some of the school registration and trying to phishing lure the embassy officer. So we also look at the operator rhythm of the threat actor, and we collected them from the metadata from the GitHub, and we found that the threat actors just working from Monday through Friday, roughly from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Some cool things is more than 60% of them are actively aligned to UTC plus 8, which is Chinese time zone, but only around 35% of them align to UTC plus 9, which is Korea. And we also look at the holiday gap in them, trying to mapping the timeline activity with the holiday. And we can see that there are, in here, the timeline, the red line is the DPRK holiday. That it didn't match anything. But if we map it into the yellow line, which is the Chinese holiday, then there's almost 2 match for the Chinese holiday. So we think that the threat operators are more likely based in the China rather than Korea. So I think the threat actor here, they take holiday even more than the incident responder, right? The attribution for this one, the judgment, is highly likely with high confidence, that is sponsored by Kimsuki or APT43, but medium confident that the operators are PRC based. So because of all the targeting sector, all the lures, those are the diplomatic and political entities that tie to Korea, or the Korean language, Korean culture lures, that we can map the TTP to Kimsuki. Also, pivoting the IOC, we can see that the infrastructure and the phishing pattern match with Kimsuki. And there's one recurring media correspondent named timesthemorning@gmail.com. This one 100% match with some of our trust intelligence partner with high confidence that is belong to Kimsuki. So in the bottom line, the motive, targets, tooling, they are from Kimsuki, but the operational cadence is more likely from China. And this is going to be the DPRK attribution, but with China Nexus indication. And this is also matched with some of other open source intelligence that some of the other vendors, some other partners, they also conclude some of the DPRK threat actors, they are not working in North Korea, but they work from China and they work from Russia. And this totally match with previous research. And what have been shifted, what have been changed in 2026? We have seen that they keeping the same legitimate cloud services, remain the same infrastructure, remain the same TTP. However, the payload, however, the sector have been shifted. From 2025, they are targeted the embassies, but we have seen the shift in 2026. Mostly the targeted sector are from defense and nuclear. There's a slightly change in the malicious payload, like a custom cipher in the PowerShell. Instead of 30 minutes, but there's 35 minutes, one write task. This is some of the change, but the most important change that I are shifting the targeted sector. And also, in 2026, just recently, we have observed the campaign from Kimsuki that it took 7 days for the final malicious payload. So for the first email, just a normal invitation letter, there's nothing malicious. The second email, just to confirming the time and the location of the invitation. But the third emails, after 7 days, they are very persistent. After 7 days, they're starting, please open the attached document. So you can see that they are more persistent. They waited 7 days from the first email to the first malicious payload. Moving on to the second topic of my talk, it is about the DPRK IT worker infiltration. So the DPRK IT worker, they trying to get access into enterprises through remote developer or apply for remote developer, and they sometimes use a fake CV, fake persona, and trying to be hide at remote developers. But the whole process, there's no malware. There's totally legitimate emails. And how to detect this one? We got the signals from open source intelligence. From open source intelligence, we have a bunch of emails that related to a DPRK IT worker. Also from private sharing of intelligence about the anomalies in the repository activity and also in the code patterns of the developer or of the recruiter. So it's going to be normally in 3 steps for the trust access. Remember, in the whole process, there's no malware, there's no phishing link, no bad behavior, right? The first step is trying to apply for position of a company, for example, a principal engineer position. And then they did the legitimate test. Normally, in one of the cases that we got, they did the ghost signal test. And they invited and completed the test and sent back to the recruiter. And then finally, they follow up to have another interview with a very polite, persistent, nothing trigger the bad behavior, nothing trigger any detection rule. This is a threat, and the FBI have been identified multiple individuals related to this threat. We can see in the real world it's not about disrupting or finding them, but also disrupting any information to the money laundering, to any cyber activities, or any action of the DPRK worker. So what is the risk in here? In the national level, we can see the risk is that we are going to paying salary to support a sanctioned country. This is for the national risk. And what about the company risk level? Is that it's not about paying the salary to a wrong person, but if you let those threat actors inside your company, they can have your source code. They can be a risk to the supply chain attack. They can harvest the credentials, and so on. So to sum up is that with the AI entered the game, and also the AI scales the deception. For the adversary, they can use the AI, the DPRK. They reportedly created the Research Center 227 for AI that focus on cyber R&D. That they use the AI to collect intelligence. They use the AI to support their cyber operations. And for example, the adversary can use AI to do a fake persona, to do better fake resume. They can change the face in the interview. They can change the voice in the interview as well. They can use AI to have a better phishing lure with a very professional lure, very professional and written in a very right language or whatever language they want for the phishing lure. And the AI also help us as a defender. For me, as a threat intelligence researcher, is that the AI help us to write faster detection rule and to do quicker triage with all of these case. It also help us to reduce the time for campaign clustering, extract the TTP better and also quicker. But however, in my opinion, that the human still owns the mission. Humans still is the one to decide who is the target, who we gonna attack. And for us, it's like the human is still there to verify the detection rule, and to do the clustering is the final verification will be for the human. And what about Vietnam? Is Vietnam just an audience in this for this threat actor? The answer is that Vietnam is already inside the risk map. The FBI have attributed the Ronin Bridge of the Sky Mavis $620 million theft to DPRK. Reportedly, some bank in Vietnam has reportedly with the SWIFT theft as well a couple of years ago. And also the US Department of Treasury also reported Vietnam as one of the hub for DPRK IQ worker. Not only the front companies, but also a hub for DPRK IT worker. So all of this financial theft, trust platform abuse is intersect with the Vietnamese company and talent market. And how we can defend over this? I think that with email conversation, for any email conversation, we better look twice. right? From a normal email or normal conversation, when it changed behavior, when it started to ask you to open an attachment, open a link, then you should look twice. For the legitimate or the trusted platform, you can detect some of the sequence or detect the behavior. For example, there is very less likely chance some embassy officer that going to interact with GitHub or doing like sending files to GitHub, receiving file from GitHub. There's very less likely for an embassy officer to do that. For the endpoint, you can write a detection change with the password protected to PowerShell, link, and the scheduled task. And for hiring and access, I would suggest you to verify the identity, verify the device, location, and the payments. When someone started to ask you to pay salary in crypto, that's going to be a red flag. And this work is not just created by myself, it's the help of the Trellix Advanced Research Center. It was my, my collaboration with Alex Lansden, who is the CTO of StrideReady, and also with John Fokker, who is the Vice President of Trellix. So if you want to look into more technical details, then you can visit on Trellix blog for the 2 blogs of this one. Yep, that's going to be the end of my presentation, and I will be very happy to answer any questions.
Okay, cảm ơn Phúc về cái bài trình bày rất là thú vị. Một tràng pháo tay dành cho Phúc ạ. Dạ vâng ạ. Không biết chúng ta có câu hỏi nào dành cho diễn giả Dr. Phạm Duy Phúc của chúng ta ạ. Xin mời giơ